Hey guys, it's Nintokis, and today's time-lapse drawing is gonna be Young Link from Zelda Ocarina of Time / Majora's Mask. The backing tracks I have today are mostly from Ocarina of Time, but this opening track is a special use. This is a cover by the Hedges Trend Orchestra of Termina Field. I had asked him for permission to use this because, honestly, this is just beautiful work. So, gonna have a link to this full album he has of Majora's Mask music in the description. I implore you guys to take a listen or potentially even buy it, please. I did. It's great. But anyways, getting into this, my usual thing, sometimes if I don't have an idea right away, I just try to get a feel for the character. And in this particular instance, I have drawn Young Link a lot over the years. As many of you know, I'm a diehard Zelda fan, but I like to break the conventions that I have, because sometimes as an artist, when you draw something over and over again, you kind of feel like you have it, you think you know it, and it's like anything else. If you know a subject that you've been around long enough but you don't research it, you think you know it. And then you revisit like a basic concept and you realize, oh, I got this wrong. Or, oh, I'm not exactly accurate on this, or this might have changed, or I had the wrong idea about this. And the same thing goes for drawing. Like, I've drawn the character so many times, but sometimes there's a few details that I just overlook, or I've been drawing wrong for years and I just never addressed. So that's me revisiting that. As you can see, I used the Smash Ultimate render for Young Link, and I used 2 different renders for the Cuckoo. I have him with Zelda games. If you hold the Cuckoo, you jump off a cliff, you kind of very gently glide down, and Loading had asked me to have him do that, so this is where we're at right now. And as you can see here, this is a very good example of my whole nothing is sacred mantra with drawings. I had this really dynamic angle that I really liked, and you could see me run with it for quite a while. I even take that thumbnail, I'm like, all right, that's perfect. And I think the Cuckoo looked great in this thumbnail, but something about the perspective just wasn't working correctly. Like, from that angle, you wouldn't really see Link's face that much. And I get his upper torso looking somewhat decent in 3-point perspective, but right here, exactly here, is where it just kind of falls apart. Nothing really makes very much sense. And I noticed that, like, partway through, right there, those 3 dots, I was like, Sometimes I just think to myself with my stylus, I'm just like, all right, that's not working. So I revisit the first thumbnail, and this is what I end up going with all the way. And I actually had a lot of fun with this one. It's just a character with, you know, stylistically, proportionally, they kind of fit my style, the way I draw. And like I said, I draw him a lot through the years, but this is one of those opportunities that I just took because I knew I was making the video out of this immediately when he requested it, because I love me some Zelda music, and I love the series, and I haven't done anything on this channel for that yet, even though it's still a young channel. I jumped at the chance. Also, this is a late post-edit edition. This cover of Inside a House is done by Soundle VGM and Covers. I actually had to replace the OG version with this one because I loved it so much, so please give those guys some love if you can. And as you can see here, there are a couple elements of the Cuckoo that I end up struggling with, specifically the wings. I wasn't 100% sure how I was going to do those, and I think this is also the first time I have drawn the Kokiri sword. Usually when I drew Young Link, I would just kind of draw him with like the ridiculously huge Bigoron sword for funny effect, even though I don't think he could use it in Ocarina of Time, or just the Master Sword or something. And again, also something he can't use. I don't know why I've done that for so many years, but that's, again, one of those small things I just never really addressed. There's also the Gilded Sword. That's actually a really interesting weapon. I should have drawn him with the Gilded Sword, or the Fairy Sword. That's more Majora's Mask stuff I could have implemented, but, you know, hindsight. Right here, you could see faces are very strange when it comes to art, because everybody's face is different proportionally. Sometimes things are just uneven, but you could still, as an artist, make things even in a way that just doesn't look natural. Which, you know, you think about that, it sounds like, oh yeah, of course, you could just draw a face wrong, but that's not exactly it. It's sort of like, yeah, an eye can be a little bit further apart than another one from the center of your face, but like, on a 2D plane, an eye physically wouldn't be in like this position, as an example. I think I repositioned the eye and the eyebrow another time, because like it's just a little bit too diagonal. It's very difficult to explain without a diagram, but it was just way too high up, and I had to go back and fix that like 3 times, but I think I got it in the end. And I know a lot of artists, even when they draw faces, they won't trace a face, or they won't trace art, but rather they'll just make a couple of markings so they know where a few key features go. And I think that goes a very long way, because faces are just something we see every day, and we know immediately when something just doesn't look right. And our job as artists is to figure out what doesn't look right about it. And that's not always simple. Like, to me personally, every time I post my stuff on, like, well, I don't do it as often now, but like the first time I posted a face that I drew on Facebook and it actually had like photo recognition and it was trying to tag one of my friends, that was probably one of the proudest moments of my life, because it means I actually got it. Like, I'm getting there. And, you know, I can't rest on my laurels. Every artist knows that you'll never be perfect. There's always something to improve on. And there it was right there, messing with the eyes. Also, let me know in the comments how this looks. I've tried a different type of way of speeding up the footage. There was two different settings, or there were two different settings. There was like time interpolation, frame blending, and frame something or other. I'm not going to pretend to know what any of this is. I've been video editing for years, but like, it's not like, oh, a practiced craft. It's like, oh yeah, I'll pop open Vegas and I'll just like put a quick collection of clips from a stream together. That's pretty much what it is. It's not until these videos that I've really dug into the nitty-gritty of things and started learning different ways to do things, which it's been a trip. I've learned a lot more in just like a month or two than I did in like years of video editing. But I'm hoping this looks smoother. There was also like another like blurring kind of effect, but I think that was for mostly capturing a moving object in front of something else. And no, that's not what we're doing here. As you can see, I'm getting into this smoother line work, and something I've been doing with a lot of the drawings recently, or a few of them, as you'll see, I know I did this for Vager from League of Legends and a couple other ones, is I've started utilizing value, but not with any other tools. I've just been using the inking pen and just kind of going in with that and doing a lot of hatch work and stuff. And I did that with Proto Man as well. And I'm just trying to explore getting a whole bunch of different textures out of exclusively line work. And for here, I think I falter in a couple of areas, but the entire drawing does come out quite nice from it, if not a little bit cluttered. Like with the cuckoo right here, I'm just kind of doing, pun not intended, chicken scratch for the feathers. And about partway through, I walk back on that and I try to do something else. And then I have to go back and fix everything on, is it called the crest? The neck almost of the cuckoo? I'm not a chicken anatomy expert. I'm just hashing things out, and that's a weird part of being an artist, is when you draw something, you need to get like a very surface level idea, both hypothetically and literally, of what it is you're drawing. You don't need to know what things are called, you just need to know how they work. That's what one of my professors had told me when I had taken a figure drawing class. Like, we went over the anatomy, all the surface level muscles in the human body, and he's like, listen, you could call these whatever you want. As long as you know what they do, you'll know how they function and how they're supposed to look. And that's pretty much what all this noise is. I think I might have went a little bit too extra on the feathers, but it looks quite nice. And here's me, like, struggling. I remember exactly what I was doing when I was texturing all this in a night or two ago, is I did all that stuff in the center, and then the wings looked bare, because when I did the line work for the wings, I kind of wanted them a little bit more stylized. And I guess it's just an unconscious tendency. I kind of like tend to veer back toward a little bit more of a representative style than just kind of a stylistic choice. And I don't know. I think my style has been evolving since I've been doing the follower drawings, and I may have to pare back the detail on these drawings or keep this level of detail up for like the time-lapse videos, just to give you guys something to chew on while this video chugs along instead of just line work. But we'll see. The rules for the Twitch follower drawings will probably change soon, but you guys will be the first to know, and the only ones to know. It's a tiny following here, but I love you guys. And this right here, the Windmill Hut, probably one of my favorite Zelda songs of all time, so I had to throw it in here. And there's been so many remixes that are just great. I was this close to including the Cadence of Hyrule version. I thought it was great. It had like this jazzy remix to it. But in the end, I just decided to keep things simple. One remix this time around, and then we'll have everything else from the OG game. I know a lot of people are freaking out about copyright laws and stuff. And on top of that, I just want a quicker turnaround for the videos. So I did want to reach out to another artist for another cover, but I think I'll have to start preparing those sorts of things a little bit further in advance. And this is something I've only started experimenting with recently in terms of adding value to clothes in like this almost impressionist style. And I think it really, really worked out here. But my biggest flaw is for some reason, I'm so hesitant to do this on skin. I'm able to, and it's not perfect, but I'm able to squeeze a somewhat believable question mark metallic texture out of this technique. And here I think I did cloth fairly well with his tunic. But I don't know. Like you could see I do it a little bit on the legs, but like the face, I keep things fairly conservative. The hands, the arms, I just kind of leave them. And I think that's something I'll be experimenting with in a couple of the follower drawings to come. But you can see things are starting to really come together here as I add more shading. And true to form, I've tried to like add a character's theme as they start to come together at the end with this music. Hopefully that's a detail you guys have noticed. I hope it's not being too on the nose. But also, this is such a classic theme. It made me laugh because when I was looking around for it, like I wanted to hear a couple different remixes versus the original, and then on YouTube, it had blocked it in the USA, but only on like one of the videos. So I'm just gonna keep talking as much as I can through this. And I know this isn't monetized, so I'm not gonna get slapped with anything, but you know, there he is. There's Young Link with the cuckoo. And of course, where would I be without my patrons, Draconic Overlord, Elena, and Deanna and Tiana. Thank you guys so much. If you guys want more information about that, early access to all my drawings, and a quick look behind the curtain of the stuff I work on, all that information is right in the description. And yeah, this is where you guys could find me, subscribe, like, all that nonsense. I'm doing this unironically now, and I'll see you guys next time.